Welcome to Invest with Neko B.
Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
In this video, we will talk about investment with compound interest.
Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that is such a heavy quote.
Right. I mean, whether Albert Einstein actually said that over a chalkboard in Princeton or not, it hits like a ton of bricks when you finally grasp what it actually means.
It really does. It changes everything.
So, welcome in, everyone. Today we are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of research on the time value of money, investment basics, and behavioral finance.
Yeah, and it's some of my favorite stuff to talk about, honestly.
Same here, but let me be super clear right out of the gate. This is not some, dry math lesson.
No, definitely not.
It's a wake-up call for you listening. Our mission today is to prove why starting early is the single most important financial decision a young person can make. Honestly, looking at these numbers we have here, it's like far more important than picking the right stock.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Because, the biggest obstacle to wealth isn't a lack of intelligence or, a lack of access to secret Wall Street information or whatever.
Yeah. Right. People always think it's an insider's game.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But the actual biggest obstacle is just a fundamental misunderstanding of how time translates into money.
Yeah.
We tend to think of wealth as something you aggressively work for, right? But looking at the data in these sources, true wealth is largely something you just wait for.
Okay, let's unpack this with a visual. Because to understand why whoever coined that phrase called it a wonder, we have to break down the mechanics, right? Like the difference between simple and compound interest.
Yeah, let's do it. Simple interest is, it's pretty straightforward.
Right, you basically earn returns only on your original money. Like you put in $1,000, it earns 10% a year, you get $100 every year, forever.
It's completely linear. Your money just walks forward at a steady, predictable pace.
Which is nice, but it's not a wonder.
No. Compound interest completely changes the physics of money. You're earning returns on your original money plus the accumulated returns.
It just starts growing on itself, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Your interest starts earning its own interest, which creates this massive snowball effect over time.
Like, simple interest is like picking apples from one tree every year. You always have one tree, you always get the same number of apples.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, but compound interest is taking the seeds from those apples and planting them. The next year, those new trees produce their own apples.
Which have their own seeds.
Right, which you plant again. So over time, you don't just have one tree, you eventually own this massive self-sustaining orchard.
And a really great mental math shortcut from the research to understand how fast that orchard grows is the rule of 72.
Oh, I love the rule of 72.
It's so handy. Basically, if you divide the number 72 by your expected annual return, the result tells you exactly how many years it will take to double your money.
Okay, so if we look at the historical average of the S&P 500, the sources cite a 10% annual return.
Yep, 10% is the standard benchmark there.
But before we run with that, I need to push back just a little bit.
Sure, go for it.
What actually is the S&P 500 in this context? Because, throwing around terms like index funds and market averages can sound like total Wall Street jargon to anyone outside the finance bubble.
That is a very fair point. So think of the S&P 500 as just a basket. A basket containing the 500 largest, most profitable companies in the United States.
So we're talking like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon.
Exactly. Companies like that.
Mhm.
When you buy an index fund that tracks the S&P 500, you're buying a tiny sliver of that entire basket.
Got it. So you aren't gambling on one single company's success or failure then?
Right. You're essentially placing a long-term bet on the growth and innovation of the broader American economy.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about that 10% number? Is that a guaranteed magic number? Or just like a rough historical average? Because we have to be realistic here about market crashes and stuff.
Oh, it is strictly a historical average, looking back over roughly the last century.
Okay.
There will absolutely be years the market drops 20%, and years it's up 30%.
Right, it's a bumpy ride.
It is. But if we use that 10% historical average to chart long-term growth, the rule of 72 says 72 divided by 10 is 7.2.
Meaning on average, your money doubles every 7.2 years.
Exactly.
which makes the first $10,000 you invest just incredibly powerful. Like if you put 10 grand into the market and just walk away at a 10% average return, it becomes 20 grand in about 7 years.
Yep. And then in 14 years, it's 40 grand.
In 21 years, it's 80 grand. And you didn't add a single additional dollar. You just, let the orchard grow.
What's fascinating here is that human brains are just wired to think linearly, right? Not exponentially.
Yeah, totally.
If you ask someone to project a trend, they'll draw a straight line. Evolutionarily, we're designed to track linear motion.
Like a predator running toward us or something.
Exactly. We're not designed to intuitively grasp exponential growth. Compounding starts completely flat, and then it suddenly just goes vertical.
It's wild.
And because our brains can't conceptualize that vertical explosion, we drastically underestimate what small amounts of money can turn into over long periods.
And I feel like that biological failure of imagination leads to the most agonizing part of our deep dive today.
Oh, the real-world cost of waiting.
Yes, because compounding doubles your money over time. Missing those earliest doubling cycles has just a devastating financial cost.
It's staggering.
I was reading the $200 a month comparison from our sources, and I literally had to run the math myself. The outcome seemed completely fake.
The numbers do sound fabricated the first time you hear them, I know.
Seriously.
So we have two investors in this scenario, both saving $200 a month. Investor A starts at age 25 and invests until age 65.
Okay, so that's 40 years of investing.
Right. And their total out-of-pocket contribution is $96,000.
Right.
Now, investor B waits until they are 35 and invests that same $200 a month until age 65.
So they missed 10 years.
Yes, and their total out-of-pocket is $72,000.
Meaning, investor A only put in $24,000 more than investor B. Just 24 grand spread over 10 extra years. But look at the results.
It's insane.
Assuming that same 10% return, investor A ends up with $1.07 million.
And investor B ends up with $394,000.
Like, wow. That 10-year delay literally cost investor B $673,000.
You aren't just losing the money you didn't save in your 20s. You're losing the decades of exponential growth that money would have generated.
Yeah, it's a huge penalty.
In the research, this is categorized under Decision 1, waiting to start. People assume they'll save more later in life to make up for lost time.
They think, oh, I'll make more in my 40s, I'll just catch up then.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Most people tell themselves, I'll start investing when I have a real salary. I'm broke right now.
I hear that all the time.
But the math proves that the quote-unquote broke dollars you scrape together in your 20s are actually the most valuable dollars you will ever own in your entire life.
Absolutely, because they have the most time to go through those doubling cycles.
Right.
Behavioral economists call this urge to delay present bias. It's an evolutionary glitch, honestly.
Who so?
Well, thousands of years ago, if our ancestors found food, they ate it immediately. Planning for retirement 30 years in the future was not exactly a survival strategy.
Right. You might get eaten by a bear tomorrow.
Exactly. We are biologically wired to value a guaranteed reward today over a potentially larger reward decades from now.
That makes so much sense.
Furthermore, behavioral data shows that life just gets more expensive. You get a mortgage, you have kids, your car breaks down.
The expenses never end.
They really don't.
Yeah.
So if you don't build the muscle of investing when you have very little, you rarely build it when you have a lot.
Man, let's make this even more tangible for you listening right now. What happens if you redirect just one gym membership you barely use, one streaming service, and maybe 3 nights of dining out or getting delivery?
Basically things you won't even miss.
Exactly. Let's call that $100 a week. If you invest $100 a week, which is $5,200 a year for 30 years at 10%, it results in $988,000.
Nearly $1 million.
Almost $1 million just from cutting out some takeout? It's crazy.
And the most crucial statistic hidden inside that $1 million is the ratio of effort to reward.
Oh, this is my favorite part.
Of that $988,000, only $156,000 came from your actual contributions.
Wait, really?
Yes. A massive 84% of your final wealth came entirely from the compounding effect.
I mean, the market is the ultimate employee. It works weekends, holidays, it never sleeps. It did 84% of the heavy lifting for you.
It really is.
So we know time is the ultimate fuel for this compounding engine. But our sources also outline a couple of wealth cheat codes, right?
Oh, yeah. 2 ways to turbocharge that snowball without taking any more money out of your own pocket.
Let's start with the employer 401k match.
This is perhaps the most frustrating thing financial professionals see people pass up. An employer 401k match is literal free money.
Like actual free cash.
Yes. Let's say you earn $50,000 a year, and your employer matches 50% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary.
Okay, tracking.
That means if you put in $3,000, your company just hands you $1,500.
It's an instant 50% return on your money before the stock market even does a single thing.
Exactly.
Turning that down is literally rejecting a pay raise. You're basically saying to your boss, no thank you, please keep my money.
Yet so many young workers opt out because they want a slightly larger paycheck today. They completely ignore the compound value of that matched money over 40 years.
They're letting that present bias win.
100%.
Okay, but I have to push back here on behalf of the listener because there is a very practical reality we haven't touched on yet.
Okay, what's that?
What if I have debt? Shouldn't I pay off my student loans or my credit card balance entirely before I try to capture a 10% market return? It just feels counterintuitive to invest while owing someone else money.
That's a huge question. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it all comes down to the mathematical spread.
The spread?
Yeah, you have to look at the interest rate of the debt versus the expected return of the investment. If you have a student loan at a 4% interest rate and your investments are historically returning 10%, you have a positive spread of 6%.
Oh, so mathematically, you end up wealthier if you pay the minimum on the low interest loan and invest the rest.
Precisely. Because your invested money is out-earning the cost of borrowing that debt.
Wow, okay.
The math fully supports holding low-interest debt. But, and this is a massive distinction in the sources, high-interest credit card debt at 20% or more is the absolute enemy of wealth.
Right.
There is no index fund on earth that will reliably pay you 20% a year. So if you carry credit card debt, that must be eradicated first.
Investing at 10% while paying 20% in credit card interest is like, I don't know, running on a treadmill that's going in reverse twice as fast as you can sprint.
That's a perfect way to put it. You're taking a guaranteed 20% loss every single year.
So kill the high-interest debt, but don't let low-interest debt stop you from catching the compounding wave.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about the second cheat code. DRIP, dividend reinvestment. I was looking at the DRP data, and I just need a sanity check here.
Let's hear it.
A dividend is basically a company sharing its quarterly profits with me in cash, right?
Correct.
So if I own stock in a mature company and they have a great quarter, they just deposit a few bucks into my brokerage account.
Yep, exactly.
So why does the data say it's better to give that cash right back to them instead of taking it?
Because when you take the cash, you break the compounding loop.
Oh.
Let's look at the mechanics of how DRP actually works. When you set your account to automatically reinvest a dividend, the brokerage uses that cash payment to buy a fraction of a new share of that exact same stock or index fund.
Okay, I follow.
Fast forward to the next quarter. The company pays dividends again. But now they pay you for your original share. Plus, they pay you a micro dividend on that tiny fractional share you just acquired.
Oh, man. And then that slightly larger dividend buys an even larger fraction of a share the next time around.
That's the engine. It is a compounding loop within a compounding loop.
That is brilliant.
And the sources show just how explosive this gets. If you invested $10,000 in the S&P 500 in 1980 and you took those dividends as cash, to buy a coffee, pay a bill, whatever, you'd have about $400,000 today.
Which still sounds great.
But if you reinvested those dividends, leaving the cash in the machine, you'd have between $700,000 and $900,000 today.
It effectively doubles your final outcome.
Yep. Dividend reinvestment accounts for roughly 40% of the S&P 500's total historical return.
That's just wild. So if the math is so overwhelmingly clear, like start early, get the employer match, reinvest dividends, why do so many people quit? Or I guess, why do so few people actually achieve this kind of wealth?
It all comes down to the psychological side of the curve. We can map out the math all day. Yeah. But human emotion is the chaotic variable that completely derails the equation.
Makes sense.
The biggest hurdle identified in behavioral finance is what we might call the boring early years.
I read this part of the research, and it is uncomfortably relatable.
Right.
You decide to get serious. You invest $2,400 in your first year. A 10% return gives you $240. So your account says $2,640.
Yep.
You look at your phone and you just shrug. You think, I skipped a year's worth of dinners out for $240. This is pointless.
And that is exactly when the majority of people quit, usually around year 3 to year 5.
Because it just feels like nothing is happening.
Because the miracle isn't visible yet. Remember the exponential curve we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
In the first few years, that curve is functionally flat. You don't see the massive effects of compounding until the absolute numbers get large enough to matter.
So what does this all mean? It's like going to the gym for a week, eating nothing but broccoli, looking in the mirror, seeing absolutely no six-pack, and deciding fitness is a scam, so you go buy a donut.
That is the perfect analogy.
Mm.
It's quitting right before the structural changes begin to take hold.
Exactly.
Let's look at the timeline of Warren Buffett, who is widely considered the greatest investor of our time, to see how the flat line eventually goes vertical.
Oh, this is a crazy timeline.
Yeah, so Buffett started seriously investing when he was 10 years old.
Which is wild in itself, just as a side note, but let's follow the timeline.
Right. By the time he was 30, he'd accumulated $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive, obviously,
Well,
but it's not billionaire status.
Definitely not.
By age 60, he had $3 billion.
Okay, wow.
And by age 85, he had $80 billion.
Wait, hold on. Let me just process those numbers for a second. From $3 billion at age 60 to $80 billion at age 85.
Yeah.
That's a $77 billion jump in his senior years.
This raises an important question, though. Did Warren Buffett suddenly become thousands of times smarter in his 60s and 70s?
Right, like did he unlock some new secret Wall Street algorithm when he became a senior citizen?
And the answer is no. He just kept doing the exact same thing he was doing at 30.
Wow.
His wealth exploded in those later decades. Not because of a sudden spike in intelligence, but because 50 years of compounding finally became spectacularly visible. The curve went vertical.
He just shot straight up.
It proves that wealth building is not fundamentally a test of intelligence. It is a test of endurance.
It's an endurance race where the prize is handed out at the very end.
Very true.
Which brings us to the ultimate lesson synthesized from all these sources. And really, it's the big takeaway we want you to leave with today. You cannot rely on willpower to become wealthy.
No, you really can't.
If you have to actively decide to transfer money every month and actively decide to resist spending it, your willpower will eventually fail you.
Because human willpower is a finite resource. It gets depleted by stress, by fatigue, by targeted marketing.
By just living life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only reliable answer to beat your own biology is automation. You must remove your own decision-making from the process entirely.
So the blueprint is simple, right? Start today. Set up automatic recurring transfers from your checking account to your investment account.
Make sure your DRP is turned on.
Yes, get that employer match, and then do something that sounds absolutely crazy. Do not look at the account.
Delete the brokerage app from your phone entirely.
Forget your password. Just let the machine run in the background for 20 years. When you finally check it, that invisible miracle we've been talking about will be sitting right there waiting for you.
I love that. And, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, extending beyond just your bank account.
Oh, okay.
If compounding is this mathematically powerful with money, imagine how this exact same principle applies to your daily habits, or to the skills you learn, or the relationships you invest in early in life.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Small, consistent daily investments in yourself. Reading 10 pages a day, practicing a new language, just being a good friend. Those will eventually hit an exponential curve, too.
The effort feels totally invisible at first, but one day you wake up and you have a massive orchard.
Exactly.
I love that so much. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Don't wait for the right time or the quote-unquote real salary. Plant your first seed, set it on autopilot, and start your own snowball today. Catch you next time.
That's a wrap for today. See you tomorrow with another lesson.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you then.
The information provided on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, investment, or legal advice. I am not a financial advisor, and the strategies or assets discussed may not be suitable for your personal financial situation. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. You should always consult with a licensed professional before making any financial decisions.